I'm the Genius Asian. Welcome to the Genius family.
Since it may be easier to damage the coils in a newer model refrigerator when you're trying to clean them, we are going to show you 4 different ways to clean and compare these so that you can then choose whichever one will suit your situation best. When we got our new refrigerator about a year ago, we noticed that the manual did not tell us that we would need to be cleaning the refrigerator coils. It said that one could vacuum the rear panel of the refrigerator a couple of times a year, but not to open it and actually vacuum the coils. Thinking this was rather strange, I even called Samsung service department to ask. They simply said, well, the manual doesn't say to do it. So we still had our suspicion. So now, again, that we have had this refrigerator about a year, we thought we really ought to take a look at these coils, see if something was needed or not. One of the problems in this case is the coils are in the back of the refrigerator. They're located behind a small panel. There's no direct access. This is the biggest refrigerator we've ever had, and it is heavy. Not that easy to move. So, in order to expose the coils, we needed to remove this small panel, and it's in a narrow space unless we're going to try to remove the refrigerator, because it's against the wall, as you can see there's just a few inches. And in fact, it's too small even for our shortest little screwdriver. If you have some screw bits, you can select the screwdriver bit and hold it like this with a pair of pliers and reach in, loosen the screws. Now, this might look like it would be very arduous to do, but in fact, these screws are very short. The thread count is just a few threads. It really takes only a few twists with the panel off. Lo and behold, it is really pretty filthy in there. And don't think that just vacuuming over the rear panel would be able to do the job here. You might wonder which of your vacuum tools you should use. So we can show you. We started out with the straight attachment, the narrow straight attachment for our vacuum cleaner. And it's fairly powerful. And we went right in there. It's like, yay, we want to get all this dust off. Well, after we pulled that out, we've discovered, looks like there's a little bit of damage to the coils. Some of these little fins are bent. These coils are unlike the coils that, say, might be at the bottom of a refrigerator or along the whole back panel. Those are thick and pretty sturdy, and you can directly vacuum them without any problem. These are rather thin, but just the power of the suction from the vacuum through this small tube did seem to bend some of them. Now here you can see what it looks like once we have the vacuum cleaner out. So our advice therefore is to not use this kind of a tool, but rather use a brush, which is both softer and also has a larger area, so that the suction power is spread over a wider area. So we did want to explore a little bit more the question of, if we follow the advice that's in the manual and that is on that back panel, and we don't remove the panel and simply vacuum from the outside of the panel, will that work? It's kind of a rudimentary test here. We got a little bit of dust, and then we saw how close our different vacuum tools had to be to that bit of dust to suck it up. This is the kind that we started out with. This one didn't pick up the dust until it was about 2 inches away. Okay, then we went for this type of tool, which some vacuums come with, some don't, but we have this type of tool, and this one actually picked up the dust from 3.5 inches away. That was a little bit surprising. The brush, on the other hand, had to get right up to 1.7 inches before it would suck in the dust. So you should consider doing a similar test with your own vacuum cleaner and bits of dust to see which of the tools that you have will work better. So to create a stronger suction, there are several things you can do. First, you can clean the filters. You should do this anyway. 2, you can try to use something with a smaller opening on the end. And 3, you could try connecting 2 vacuums if you have them. And we'll be showing you how to do that in the following segment. So first, we wanted to test one vacuum by itself. And you can see here that the first vacuum picked up the dust at about 1.5 inches. So to join this to the second vacuum, we opened this plate you see there. It's where the air exit is from the first vacuum. Opened that and then attached the hose from the second vacuum, attached it using tape to that air exit from the first vacuum, sealed it. Now we have 2 vacuums in a series. So we'll be turning them on one at a time and then seeing how much improvement we have. Now, the combined suction of the 2 vacuums picked up the dust at just a bit more than 2 inches. So to do an even better test as to whether or not vacuuming from the outside is really going to work, we felt that we should also better simulate the actual rear panel grill. So we made a template from some moderately thick cardboard, cut slits in it. As you can see, they are the same width apart and as close as we could manage to be the same as that rear panel. Then we used this panel as well as the vacuum cleaner to see how well the different vacuum tools would pick up the dust. Okay, so this was our best tool. Note that when this is held vertically against the slits, it doesn't really seem to do very much. That's because a lot of the suction is not being applied. So turn it horizontal like this. Before it was 3.5 inches. Now it needs to get as close as 1 inch to the piece of dust before it will suck it in. So another thing we wanted to try is creating our own tool that might be in between the effectiveness of removing the panel to vacuum and just running the vacuum cleaner over the rear panel. So I took a small piece of plastic tubing and a bit of duct tape, taping this maybe 2-inch piece of tubing to the vacuum cleaner attachment, as you see here. We've now created a tool that will fit inside the slits in the rear panel. Just check the sizing first to be sure that the tube will fit inside the slit. Okay, so here once again is our quick dust sucking test with this tube attached to the end of the vacuum. You can see that when it gets to about 1/4 inch from that dust, it goes into the vacuum. You can now take this, introduce the plastic tube into the rear panel through these slits. Obviously, doing this carefully, you can get your vacuum power that much closer to the coils without having to remove the rear panel. To get a better view of this, using the camera on your cell phone, first you can take an L-shaped piece of hardware, insert it into the cell phone case, as you see here, and then clamp that L bracket onto the stick, and then remove the wires from the clamp, and then you can insert it into a pretty narrow space there so that then you can see the cell phone screencast to your PC. And you can see if you have a lot of dust there and need to do more cleaning or not, and you may be able to see if you have damaged anything. You should be able to see through the slits well enough to see if you are actually sucking up any dust or not. So, one conclusion here is that if you don't want to remove the panel, often this might keep your coils reasonably clean, at least the part that is closest to the rear panel. Of course, as you saw, ours is cylindrical, and so some parts are as close as half an inch to the rear panel, but some of it is an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches from the rear panel. So our advice in the end is that you use both a quick cleaning, clean it with the panel on, vacuuming through the panel, and this will take you just about 1 minute every month. And then also, once a year, it'll take you about an hour, clean removing the panel so that you can get those spaces that are further back. If you don't do those short every month cleanings, you will find condensation and other stuff can make dust kind of stick to the coils. It's not so easy. If it's light and it hasn't been sitting around and hasn't been getting wet or greasy or anything else like that, it might just fly right off into your vacuum, but not if you're waiting a whole year like we did. Again, you're advised to unplug your refrigerator before you actually start any vacuuming. Okay, this is because very close to those coils, right to the left of the coils is going to be a fan, and to the left of the fan is going to be a compressor. And so you don't want the fan to go on while you're vacuuming the coils. If you don't unplug your refrigerator, you just have to be really sure not to get too close to the fan. Okay, so we're just showing you that the panel, which we did remove, does have a warning on it that says, don't remove it, but we did, and so that is the one through which we got access to the coils. If you have a somewhat older refrigerator, you may find that the coils are at the bottom of the fridge or at the back of the refrigerator. To clean these, see my other video. For refrigerators like these, they are actually much easier to clean, much less chance of damage.
Share this with people who you know that need it. Leave your own genius tips in the comment section below. Don't forget, I'm the Genius Asian. Subscribe for more useful videos.